Good evening, fellow Americans. I'm here. That's all I got. Anyways,
Live
I'm here.
from
I'm here with my
Arizona,
brother.
live from Arizona and Oklahoma. It's Saturday night.
Anyways, I'm here with my bad. My bad. Sorry, I forgot to mute that damn thing.
Yeah, I'm watching Band of Brothers is on TV, so I've got it turned down. I always like looking at the weapons. I always like to see if I can catch mistakes.
What's up, Gardner Josh? Harvey Black, good to see you. Long time no see, huh?
Yeah.
Bug Dude, what's up?
Hey, fellow patriots, lovers and lovettes. Uh-oh. Hide the women. There's Bug Dude.
So I thought, yeah, we got several topics to discuss tonight. One that it hasn't been talked about in a while, but it's still. I think it's something that should still stay fresh on our minds. Is should teachers be armed in school? And so I'll wait for a few more people to get in here. I got all kinds of notes on this too. I know at least several states already allow it, like Colorado, Montana, and Ohio. And there's a few others. Indiana allows the individual teacher, specifically authorized by the school board, to conceal to carry.
I'm not sure what it is in Oklahoma since we went constitutional carry and sanctuary state for guns. I haven't heard. Matter of fact, I haven't seen the teachers because usually the one teacher that for our high school that teaches, they actually have a trap shooting club in our high school. And when the kids show up over here at the shooting range, I usually go out and try to help out and give them pointers and stuff on trap shooting and that. So, but we have a very gun friendly bunch of teachers here in the area in southeast Oklahoma where I live. So I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't carrying.
Yeah, and I was actually kind of surprised because even like concealed carry teachers, I guess in Alabama, Alaska, Idaho, Illinois, Michigan, Missouri, New Hampshire, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Utah, and Wyoming, there are certain school districts that will allow concealed carry teachers that are trained. And apparently, I was just looking up in Arizona too, and even in Arizona, if they have the permission from the school board, then yeah, they're allowed to carry here. Now we don't have those big old signs like if you look at the thumbnail of the thing where it says, "Hey, look, our teachers are armed and we will use any amount of force necessary to protect our students."
Right.
And which I think that's a pretty bold statement right there. It's like, hey, you want to try and shoot up any of the kids in here, you can get shot back at. So, what's up, Bioxo?
We when I worked for the Head Start program in Alaska in a native village, of course, we dealt with 3 to 5 year old children, but a lot of them were in families that there may have been custody battles and stuff. And I carried my firearm in my vehicle, and we had a safety plan as such that if a parent that wasn't supposed to get custody maybe tried to come in and take that kid or something, that we had a contingency plan. And of course, being that I'd worked with the state troopers and they knew me and they knew I was an expert shot and all, there was no problem with it because if we called the troopers, you could count on it being 15 to 20 minutes before we would get a response unless they just absolutely had one nearby patrolling. Because where I was at, the area only had 3 state troopers for an area the size of West Virginia. So your response times were slow as fast as they could go, but they relied more on the citizens being armed and the teachers being armed. And a lot of the teachers in the high school, I'm sure, were armed and that just as a precaution and we never really had any problems to worry about, but we wanted to make sure we didn't have problems to worry about.
Well, David G. Well, I hope you like it. If you're into guns and stuff like that, and into liberty, I think you'll enjoy the channel. Yeah, and I think that's how pretty much all states should be. I mean, I know in my area we get a fairly rapid response, but like in an emergency situation, you never know. I mean, there not too long ago, we had a guy that just went Looney Tunes and was driving down the freeway and driving down inner city streets and just shooting at random people.
Mhm.
I mean, he ended up he killed one of them, shot him to death, and then a couple of the others that he shot at, they ended up wrecking. So then you had it was like 12 injured and one dead after the whole thing was over. And the guy fucking gave up. He just gave up. And the cops didn't shoot him. It's like, what the hell, man? Honestly, I think they probably should have. But there's a lot of things that I think the cops should do that they don't do,
Was
and
that
a lot of things that they do that I don't think they should do.
Was that the guy in Arizona that was doing that? That Attila Back was his name, that shot and killed one?
Yeah,
And I heard they released him on bond, and he should have never been released on bond.
well, I didn't hear about that. I'll have to double check that. This was only a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, I heard he was out on bond. That guy needed psychological evaluation in my law enforcement experience, because he said people were shooting at him when nobody was. I mean, he was,
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was his. That was his plea. Was he was paranoid? He thought everybody was out to get him, and it's like, no, that's no excuse for just going around shooting people up, man. I mean, I remember what was it? Probably about 4 or 5 years back, we had what they called the freeway sniper, and they don't know if it was one guy or two guys, three guys, but they would go out and they would kind of hide themselves and then wait for just passing vehicles to randomly drive by and then shoot at their vehicles.
Hello, Jim, AK Wolf 257. That's a good friend of mine who lives over in Alabama, a real good gun guy, and he's like me. He's a machinist, but he builds himself a lot of nice pieces and oddball projects and stuff. And he's a good guy. He's a good friend of mine. We've traded stuff back and forth. So good to see you here. I kind of put out the word that that I was going to be on with you to bring some more of my folks over from my forum over.
Oh yeah, I'm over on the Prepared Mind all the time, David. Yeah. Yeah, I'm what I can. I'm sipping on my sweet tea here, so.
Smoke them if you got them. We got them.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Harvey. I would love to run for president in 2024. I'd probably be a short run. They'd probably execute me because they would be afraid if I got into office, man. Because I would take Moose Man with me, and I would take. I got a long list of people, and I would just start firing at the head of the FBI. Now you're gone. I'll put so and so in charge of the FBI, ATF. We would just disassemble that.
I think we talked to Colin Noor, the attorney, the pro Second Amendment black attorney, and talk to him and see if he was willing to be attorney general and write out warrants for the arrest of traitorous politicians. If he is, we'd put him in.
There you go.
Is a staunch Second Amendment, and he's got legal training.
Yeah, that does help,
Yep.
you know, because most of us are going in there with little to no freaking real, I mean, background in. But then again, I mean, Trump did too. He was just a fine, you know, he was a business guy. But then again, we've been a corporation for how many decades,
No, I've
centuries?
been involved in local politics from Alaska and now down here in Oklahoma. Um, and I'm on boards of directors and stuff, and I have certain duties and titles of things that I have to take care of. But I've always been one that worked for the people, not from nothing. I do nothing for myself. I'm working for all our customers to ensure that they get what they want at a fair price, keep the prices down, and keep the company running and keep it making money, in other words, and watching for any signs. Because before I took over, we had an office manager that embezzled $30,000 and got away with it. She's back east somewhere with warrants out for arrest, but her family's in law enforcement protecting her. So if she ever comes back to Oklahoma, we'll nail her. And she will get some time out of it. But so that's the
Yeah,
thing.
well,
If you get in a public office in your local area, whether it's on a city council or you even become mayor or stuff, remember you're not there to dictate and control like these people we've got that we're dealing with here now in our small town. They forget you're there representing the people, and you need to listen to what the people want done, not what you want done,
hmm
because you're spending money. And always remember that. But these politicians and people, we've got people here that never served office, don't even know what the hell they're doing now, and we're having to call them on because they're doing illegal stuff. So if you're not
yep,
following the law, you're not legal.
illegal and unconstitutional. Yeah.
Right.
And that's what really chaps me is when, you know, they start with the unconstitutional crap. Like when Biden came out the other day and he was like, well, you know, the Constitution actually limits the people and what they can own. And it's like, no, nothing in the Constitution limits to the people to shit. What it limits is government ability to limit the people and what they fucking own.
Right. Right.
God, the
When he
moron.
said,
Ooh,
"Oh, you
shit.
can't own cannons," I thought, "You can't own cannons. I've got two cannons, at least two, and one of them is a 4 incher that guards my driveway. I can own a cannon. There's no law against it, and we have been since before this country was a country.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, 245 years later, fixing to celebrate the independence of America, and we've got a guy in the White House that doesn't know history and know the laws, yet he's supposed to be the head guy. Yeah, well, uh, he failed. He failed school, he failed reading, and he failed reading the Constitution that he supposedly swore an oath to uphold and defend. So he needs to go back and get an education.
Well, I think it's a little too late for that, to be honest.
Never too late. Of course, in where I'm from in the South, we called it an attitude adjustment, which was a 2x4 upside the head,
Yeah.
and that gets their attention. And then you teach them.
All right, hold on. I think our dinner is here. My dinner is here, at least I should say.
I haven't had mine. We've been busy canning salsa, making fresh salsa and canning it up this afternoon. But
Well, the thing is, David, he says a lot of stuff that he doesn't have a clue. I mean, remember when he started trying to read the Constitution and he's like, oh, you know, the thing. Yeah, God. Like, seriously, you could have at least finished off the one fucking sentence, but no, man, they didn't put it on the prompter or whatever.
yeah, whoever's talking in his ear must not have been able to read the pages fast enough.
I don't know. Or too slow.
The OXO, yeah, you want a hand crank Gatling gun and some cannons? They're actually legal in New
Yep,
York where you live.
they are.
I saw a nice one the other day. That Glock little Gatling gun that you can buy. It's cute as a fart, but it's like $4,500. Uh, but 9 millimeter and multi barrel, and you use any Glock magazine or drum in it. It's pretty sharp. So save your
Ah,
coins.
that is pretty cool.
And at Tulsa Gun Show every year, we have a cannon builder. You can actually buy cannons right there at the Tulsa Gun Show. They have all different size black powder cannons, mortars, and stuff, and thunder mugs and all. And you can buy because they're perfectly legal to own, as far as I know, in all 50 states.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Certainly, certainly. And I don't know about y'all's Walmart, but I was showing Dangerous this. I went to Walmart 2 days ago and they got in some ammunition. They got 50 round boxes of CCI standard velocity and 100 round boxes of CCI mini mags. $7.92 and $3.67 for a box of 50, but $7.92 for a box of 100 of mini mags. So that tells me that these other people that are selling the stuff for $15 or better a box is gouging people, because Walmart is going to pay a wholesale price, and so are these other distributors. And so just keep watch out, because ammunition is starting to come back on the shelves. I did notice there was a lot of Winchester AA shotgun shells in 12 and 20 gauge, and some 28s hitting the shelves in Walmart too. So it depends on the Walmart in your area. But other than that, we don't have much for an ammunition dealer here where I live. We have to travel great distances. Like I said, normally I go to Tulsa twice a year and stock up, because you get all the big people from powder dealers, the primer dealers, the bullet dealers, the ammunition dealers, and all kinds of gun dealers. And this year I haven't been to Tulsa, and I didn't make Tulsa this April because I was in the hospital getting surgery done. So our next show will be in November, and it's 11 acres of guns and stuff under one roof. So anybody that wants to go to the biggest gun show in the United States, that's the place. Hello, Jeremy. If they're not the kind you put on a steak, Jeremy, I wouldn't touch them myself.
2,000 rounds at 22.
Yeah, the box I got from Walmart before, Ron, was 800 rounds of Federal standard velocity for $42. 800 rounds for $42. I saw the same one listed on other websites for 125 to 150. So yeah, it's a shame people take advantage of shooters and gun owners when they perceive a little bit of a shortage. But I'm seeing ammo come back, and prices are starting to fall. If people refuse to buy a high priced ammo and boycott it, the prices will start coming down.
Yeah, it's about time too.
Yep.
I still feel fortunate that I stocked up when prices were still low.
Well, I've been stocking up since 1974, 75. So
Nice.
I always make sure I bought 3 times more of what I wanted to shoot. That way I kept building up my surplus supply because, if you go to a competition and you shoot a lot of ammunition in a competition,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was always afraid something might happen to the supply chain. Well, we saw what happened. We've seen it twice now. We saw it with the 22 shortage back during the Obama administration years, and me and a friend, we sit and we talk to the manufacturers. We're in the guys in the gun business, and we figured it would be 3 years before it come back, and it was right at 3 years when the shelves started being full again of good 22 ammunition at good fair prices. The prices dropped, for the bulk packs and everything else, and then here comes 2020 along in a panic, and the supply chain gets disrupted due to lack of materials, fears of employees getting infected and stuff, and so plants closed down. Um, Remington went into receivership. Uh, they were going to rebuild their ammunition machines anyway because they were showing a lot of wear. Piachi's still building an ammo plant, but it's not up and running yet in Arkansas.
Bioki. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how you pronounce it. Bioki, Bioki. Yeah. They make some good ammo. I've got a couple of 100-round boxes of 223 from them.
I used to buy a lot of their 9mm was $9.99 a box for 50 rounds of 9mm, and then it went up to $12.99, which was still a pretty good price, but it was very good, high quality ammo, for especially for our 9mm service weapons, and actually for shooting competition, it wasn't bad.
I know. I just feel guilty. I didn't get enough for everybody.
Well, I haven't eaten supper yet, but I'll be doing that after we get off here. I've got everything made.
All my cats are circling around me now.
Circle of wagons, cat. He's got food.
Yeah. You think they got food?
Yeah. Yeah, happy 4th of July, everyone. Happy Independence Day. 245 years of declaring our independence as a nation.
And we will still declare it.
Yeah.
It just depends on what state, man. It's weird because you go back to it. You look at all the states that are separating. I mean, they're starting legally by denying the government access to their state to pull their bullshit gun laws. And I mean, that's just the first step. What's next?
States' rights is a great thing in one aspect, yet it's kind of a curse in another, and I'll tell you where I run into this. In traveling across the United States, because I've been from Alaska to Florida and back, and I've been every route just to take, going straight up to Indiana and cutting across, or going across to California and going straight up. I take different routes to see different parts of America. And it's hard traveling with firearms to know each state's law, because most states, you have to carry it locked in a container, unloaded. So if you need it in a hurry,
you're screwed.
You're screwed. Yeah, basically. And some states, if you've got a concealed weapons license, you can carry it loaded and in your car, in a glove compartment. Some states you can't. So it's a shame that we don't have uniformity across the country as a nation, as far as all 50 states having the same laws, the same rules, If you're not a prohibited person, you should be able to carry whatever you want and conduct yourself in a safe manner until you prove yourself a criminal or a
Yep.
dumbass. Then you get taken care of. But
Well,
until
I
that
mean,
time,
technically, all the states are supposed to follow the original U.S. Constitution and the
right,
Bill of Rights. That is
right,
that's like that's a mandate for all states. Now I know each state has their different states and how they interpret it. Luckily, I'm in Arizona. We're a pretty free state. You know, we're really pissed off about this last election. Nobody respects Biden as the president down here. Not really. Um, Even the old people that I run into, they have no love for that man. And it's like, no, we were totally stolen from. We were ripped off.
right.
And that may go against the algorithms that YouTube likes, but that's the truth down here. Most people feel like we were stolen from.
Well, and all the states that 45 won in feel like we were ripped off. You know, our
Yeah.
state, our state went full red, and this state used to be blue. I mean, it was so blue you couldn't vote here if you weren't a Democrat, you couldn't vote here. And now it's turned the other way. People got wise here, and now we're a red state, and there's still a lot of people who are registered as Democrats that vote Republican.
Yeah.
And just for the record, I'm neither a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a independent constitutionalist is how I rate myself.
Hey, Bella. I'm more of a libertarian constitutionalist. I mean, it just sucks that now we're pretty much forced into choosing the lesser of two evils. That needs to go away. I just don't
Right.
know how we're going to do it. I mean, other than, hey, maybe by 2024, this administration will be able to completely destroy the foundation of what America was built on, and we can start back from scratch.
Rebuild from the ashes, like the
Yeah.
song says, from the ashes we can build another day. I mean, America's done it before.
The only
Um,
problem is we got to get rid of that, the contingency, because government's always going to protect themselves.
well, I'm still waiting to hear on Arizona's results, and we
We
haven't
all
really
are.
heard anything, have we?
Not a damn thing, and a lot of people are saying we won't hear anything until the beginning of August.
And that's
Other people are
strange.
saying, other people keep saying, "Oh, we'll hear it this week. Oh, we'll hear it next week." From what I've seen, yeah, we can't expect much until August, maybe. Maybe we'll get lucky, and halfway through July, they'll go ahead and be like, "Okay, well, you know what? We've done all our assessments, and this is what we found." I don't know.
Yeah. So that's what we're kind of waiting to hear, and that might be a catalyst, along with what's going on in several other states. So we'll just, like I said, I'm willing to sit back, wait, watch, and be ready for whatever happens. At the same time, we see around us what's happening in our country now with fuel prices higher, food shortages, higher food prices, uh, shortage of durable goods. Ford can't build vehicles because they can't get computer chips. And it's a wake up call when you start seeing these things happen as to how intertwined things are that have no redundancy to back them up. If this fails, we can do this. It's like that's, I guess, I've been like that all my life. I've always wanted, okay, I look at things and I say, if this fails, what can I do to
Mm-hmm.
keep going and have a backup plan, and then I have a backup plan for the backup plan.
Yeah.
And it seems like these companies, all these educated people that have college degrees don't have a clue about doing stuff like that. So, you know,
No, no, but you know what? That just means more for us.
well, it just shows that being educated ain't necessarily always a good thing.
No, I came from the school of hard knocks, brother. Same as you.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
learned on.
how many kids today do you see going out at 14, 15 years old, pushing a lawnmower around, asking if they can mow your grass?
Not too many.
That's how I started. Then at 16, I walked in and got a job at a toy store. I needed money because I made a quarter a week taking the garbage out at home. Well, a quarter a week didn't buy very much. And I cobbled me a bicycle together, and I was able to get around, and I was looking for a job, and I went to this toy store, and they had a sign out, help wanted. So I asked them what kind of help they wanted. They said they needed somebody that could assemble bicycles. I said, well, I can assemble bicycles. Yeah. So they said, okay, we got a bicycle in the back. If you can assemble it and put it together and have everything right, you can have the job. So I went back there and had the box. I pulled it out. I assembled that bicycle. It took me all of 20 minutes. All the tools were there that I needed pretty much. And I brought that bicycle, wheeled it out. They checked it out, and it was perfectly put together. Everything was good and tight. Everything in line like it was supposed to be. And I got the job, and I worked in that toy store until I found me a better job. But I've been working all my life.
Yeah, for a lot of it, I have too. I mean, I didn't go straight from high school into college or any of that crap. In fact, I was I was already working in high school. Yeah, I was doing a busboy. I did a busboy gig.
When I was in high school, the Vietnam War was going on hot and heavy, so they were putting the girls towards going to college because all us guys were going to be drafted and sent to Vietnam fighting. You know, when it was hot and heavy. In my freshman year would have been 1969, 70, and my senior year was 1973. So
wow,
so
you were right
all during that time. Yep, all during that time they were saying, "Oh, all you guys are going to get drafted and go to war." And so they didn't push us towards the college, even though I had all my credits and could have graduated a year ahead because of my intelligence. I worked my senior year, but we ended about 73. We were pulling out, so they stopped the draft then, and I guess I got lucky. But I didn't get to go to college on a scholarship, and my parents didn't have the money to send me to college, so I went to work. And I picked up some few college courses along the way in my life, but I studied books and learned and self-educated myself.
Mm-hmm. I learned mostly on the job.
So maybe, yeah. So maybe we should get on our subject of should teachers be armed?
Yeah, I say yes. And I was watching some of the debates on it, and a lot of people were like, well, you can't make teachers be armed. Well, no, we're not trying to make anybody be armed. But if they're a teacher and they are a Second Amendment advocate and they do respect the gun and they are trained and they want to protect their kids, they should be allowed to protect their kids. You know what I mean? And another one was
exactly.
Okay, what's a pistol going to do against an AR-15? It's like, hey, you know what? Okay, you're seriously outweighed if somebody has a long rifle, yes, but do you want to be in there with a fucking pencil or a pistol? You know what I mean? At least with a pistol, you got a fighting chance.
It's hard to take out a rifle shooter with a pistol shot, and that's the thing. If a teacher's trained, but here's the thing: My deal is, you're sending your child to that school. Those teachers and administrators are responsible for the safety of your child. And you cannot fight a gun without a gun. That's the thing. So if somebody comes in the school armed and starts shooting up, if you don't have somebody in there shooting back, then and it's a shooting gallery, basically. They can walk in like they've done and shot a lot of kids. There's crazy out there. We know that. The problem is that most of us are law-abiding citizens that own guns. And I'm going to still use this to get people to remember this and quote it. Less than 0.1% of all guns in the United States are used to commit crime with. Less than 0.1%. The majority of the guns are under the control of law-abiding citizens, and they're used to stop crime, to protect households, to protect livestock, and to protect neighbors and other people. So we don't have a gun problem. What we've got is a lying bunch of media problem that only focuses on the bad, but doesn't say, well, 20 times today, robberies and rapes were stopped by a good guy with a gun. They don't tell you that, but it happens from 1 to 4 million times a year that crime is stopped by the American gun owner. So,
and a lot of times, I was quick. A lot of times, you don't even have to discharge your weapon. A lot of times, just brandishing it or showing somebody that you've got a firearm is enough to make them back the hell off. You know, they were like, "Oh, wow, we picked the wrong place," you know? And that's another thing I love about the constitutional carry laws is, you know, the more people that are walking around armed, you know, like I walk around my store and if there's 20 people in there, I imagine at least 7 of them probably have a firearm on them.
Yeah, somebody didn't like what I was saying, but that's too bad. I'm going to tell it like it is. I've got a voice and I expect to use my freedom of speech.
And see, down here, Vanessa, from what I was reading, it depends on the school district. So like the Board of Educators or whatever, they're the ones that have, they give the ultimate permission. They look over, okay, he's had this training, he's had the police training, he's had this training, he's got his CCW, you know, and then the school board's like, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll license him. And a lot of times what these schools will do.
When I was a kid, we took our guns to school.
Yeah, well, yeah, but not when I was a kid. I mean, we had gun racks in the back of trucks and stuff like that, but nobody got stupid with it. This was long before you ever heard of a school shooting or anything like that. But a lot of these schools that do allow their teachers to be armed, they actually they license them. They license the gun through the school, so basically all the teachers have the same access to the same firearms. I guess they do that in case of an emergency. You know, maybe you can't get to your gun, but you know that your teacher 3 doors down on the left, you know, they've got the same gun, and you know. This.
Yeah,
and they keep them insured as well.
Some principals and school administrators and higher ups are armed, and I know we had our phys ed teacher, Mr. Murphy. He drove around in an army jeep, and he carried his .45 with him. You know, and this was back in the 70s. And
I was going to say, Vanessa, Kitty, so teachers have to have more carry training than local police. That doesn't really, it's not a very high list there. I mean, it's not a it's not a high reach standard there. Oh, just to be saying. You know, a lot of people, they get that bad.
Especially, I mean,
once you get that badge, you're allowed to go anywhere and anywhere
Yeah.
you want with a gun. Period. Even with teachers, you're allowed to go onto the school property, but you're not going to be able to walk into the court property like that, most likely. I mean, it's dumb how they've got all these stupid gun laws, and government always has to protect itself and be like, oh, guns are dangerous. You can't just carry a gun into court. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I could see that because you don't want to go into a fucking like a child custody battle, and then all of a sudden the wife or the ex-wife pulls out a gun and shoots the husband right there in front of the judge and everybody. But other than that, it's like just try not to go to court.
I think it's more to protect judges. I think it's more to protect judges that some of them need to be taken out and buggy with. But that's
I
my
have no
opinion.
idea what
Deal
you're
with some
talking
of them,
about.
them in district.
No, and I have no idea what you're talking about on that
Yeah.
one, Moon. Nah, that never
Yeah.
crossed my mind,
Yeah.
ever, at all.
Yeah, no, never. But like in Israel, the teachers are armed over there, and they have very few attacks on schools anymore. They used to have a lot of terrorist attacks, and so they did. The teacher was armed, and they marched their kids in. The same as there was guys with M16s on Israeli airplanes up at the front. You wasn't hijacking an Israeli aircraft. Wasn't going to happen. So I don't know how we got in this mindset of these other people that want to do away with guns, that don't realize that when you're an unarmed sheep and the wolves come crawling after you, you're dead meat. But if the wolves come and the sheep is armed, the sheep are going to think, or the wolves are going to think twice about attacking, or they're going to end up dying. So I refuse to be a sheep.
And that's really what we need. Is we need it to be more of a fairly balanced society. And that's why you see, like, you look at Chicago, they have the highest shootings every freaking weekend out of pretty much every other city on the nation, probably on the planet. I mean, I never did that worldwide check, but I wouldn't be surprised. 45 shootings is like a slow weekend for them. And it's like, are you kidding me? If more people were allowed to carry guns, you would see less shootings, especially less senseless shootings.
The highest murder rate in the United States comes from about 51 counties, I think it is. 51 counties out of the whole United States. 51 counties have the most murders, and of those 51 counties, I think 49 of them are all in these big cities run by non-conservatives, we'll call them. And they have gun control laws. They have massive gun control laws. So it makes no sense that they've got all these laws, yet they've got the most killings with firearms. It's kind of like if you tell people they can't have something, they're going to go have it. And it worked the same way back in Prohibition. When they told people they couldn't have alcohol, then the bootleggers made killings, the gangs got involved, money was flowing, and they eventually had to do away with it so they could control it. Now we're seeing the same thing kind of with the marijuana laws, because the federal government made it illegal, even though it's something God put on this planet. The people basically said, screw you, we're going to have our weed. So it created the big black market and indoor grows and smuggling and stuff that's been going on for now, 60, 80 years or better, 100 years. And yet, now we're starting to see them slack off a bit with states legalizing it. But what it amounted to was civil disobedience. the people said, we're going to get our weed, we're going to grow our weed, we're going to smoke our weed, and screw your laws.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I've heard that too. You know, I know Arizona, even though we went recreational last year, was it last year or this year? It did not affect the constitutional carry or anything like that. The only thing it would affect, actually, it wouldn't affect anything, because if they pull you over and you're inebriated or under the influence to an extent, it'd be like driving, you know, except with a gun. So, you know, don't go getting freaking, you know, 3 sheets to the wind and then expect to just walk around with a gun and be okay. Because if the police find you like that, they're gonna,
Yeah,
they're,
no, that's not okay.
yeah, it'd be like the same as driving, because it's a
While I'm for
dangerous.
total Second Amendment, I'm for total Second Amendment freedom. However, I am for responsible gun ownership, and that's what these Bloomberg groups all don't realize. We're not out here
Hey,
trying to rob people and kill people. We are for responsible gun ownership. I don't believe
I'll
you
tell
should
you
be
what.
drinking and driving. I don't you believe you should be drinking and have a gun in the vehicle with you and driving. I don't believe you should be drinking in the woods and have a gun with you.
Dude,
I
I'll
don't
tell you
believe
what.
you should be
When I was,
smoking dope
I've
and have
got,
a gun
I've actually got a story on this one,
out in
Moose.
public.
When me and a bunch of my friends, we were about 15 or 16, and one of our friends with the pickup took like 8 or 9 of us down to the riverbed, and there was a couple of cowboys down by the river. They had a big old bonfire going, and one of the idiots from our group freaking yelled rednecks at him or something like that. And next thing I know is fucking gunshots, fucking bullets whizzing by. So we all haul ass back to the truck. Well, you know, all the people that were in the back are in the back, and the driver hasn't even shown up yet. All of a sudden, this fucking drunk ass fucking redneck fucking points a gun right at my friend's face and says, "Did you call me a fucking redneck or what?" And he's, you know, of course, we're all fucking like, holy shit, he's got a gun in our friend's fucking face. At that point, I wish I would have had a gun. I could have fucking just ended it. But, you know, I was 15, first time I've ever had this experience. And you know, it's like, yeah, people like that shouldn't be carrying guns. No, if you're gonna fly off the handle like that, you should not own a firearm. You got to, dude, like this right here makes me a lot more responsible, and it also calms me down. It calms me down a lot. You know, I walk around and I see stupid shit. I hear people say stupid shit. I don't get pissed. Even like that one IP guy, whatever, Aldi. Did I really get pissed? No, it was frustrating and annoying. But other than that, it's like, dude, like seriously, if he wants to come at me, bro.
Right.
You know, but they're just
Right. The thing
people
is, though, you have to remember carrying a gun is a responsibility. Using a gun is a bigger responsibility, and that's why you need a clear head, because you may have to make a split second decision on whether to pull that gun and squeeze that trigger and take a life. So you want to be in full, have your full mental capacities, because otherwise it can come back to bite you in the ass.
Exactly.
So I'm a proponent of what you do at home, inside behind closed doors, stays at home. Don't be out on the streets doing it and carrying your gun. Be clean and sober when you're out carrying your gun, so you can make, you know, and have the reaction time that you may need too, because a slow reaction time can get you killed, as you know, being a police officer, we know all about.
Yeah. No, Vanessa, I don't. And actually, it's a long story behind that. I'm not going to discuss it here, but Yeah, we have a means of getting around that.
And see,
I
there's no
just
mention. There's no mention of weed in the Constitution. There's no mention of drugs in the Constitution.
nope.
It's and
Or
the
alcohol.
thing,
No,
right? And the
no,
thing
they did
people need to realize,
they did the prohibition. So it was like one was the 21st, 22nd Amendment, where they
right?
tried to outlaw alcohol. But yeah, nothing about weed, nothing about heroin, cocaine, none of that crap.
Right. And we know our forefathers had hemp. They grew hemp. We don't know if they smoked it or not. We know they drank. They made mead and grog and whatever, and we know that they drank and all this. The thing is the United States government, the federal government, passed rules that saying that they could regulate interstate commerce, and that's what they're using as a tool for everything that goes on. That includes firearms, drugs, you know, vehicles, everything. Is that the federal government can regulate interstate commerce, which is a crop. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
is, the federal government's not supposed to own land, yet they do. They own all
Yep.
these closed up BLM areas, national parks, and everything else. And the third thing was taxes were supposed to be voluntary.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the Constitution. The first taxes were voluntary. In other words, you could support your government how you saw fit. In other words, and the church is making it fine off 10%, but it's awful funny our government can't make it off 10%. Just saying.
Well, it's because they're socialist. You know, they're taking that 10% and they're giving it to, well, they're giving it to fucking their own funds, basically.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
that money is circling back, and we all know it. There is no way all that money is going overseas and not coming back to private bank accounts,
laundered.
or in the
They said
pockets of cronies.
they sent they send it over, it gets laundered, and then they send it back. Yep.
Right, right.
And they make it look legit. I mean, how else did Pelosi become a freaking multimillionaire? I mean, give
Yeah,
me a break.
on a
And
hundred
not
and some $1,000 a year salary. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Where do
No,
you
I
get me
agree.
started?
This is supposed to be the United States of America, and we're supposed to look out for our own. We should not have a single homeless veteran out on the streets. There should be no
Yeah.
hungry people in the United States. And there
Nope.
wouldn't be if our goddamn money would stay in this country instead of going in cronies' pockets and being used for all this bullshit and going overseas. Hey, how about people sending some money back to us? At least
Yep.
45 got some of our money that was owed back to us for our NATO stuff when he
Yep.
told them, hey, y'all ain't paying your portion. You ain't paid your bill. Let's get that money back rolling in here. And he did. And we saw the price of things come down. But that's the thing. When did we become the United States of the world? And yeah, they don't have permission to take my money and spend it. I want to see disabled veterans taken care of. I want to see homeless veterans taken care of. I want to see homeless people that really don't want to be homeless and want a place to live and a job to be able to get that in this country. That's
Yep.
what I want.
I don't know if we'll ever see that, brother. I hope we do, but it's going to get a
Well,
lot rougher before it gets any better. And
well,
that's
that's
why,
it.
yeah, I hope you guys are at least prepped up at least for a few months, if not longer. If you have the ability to prep for years, even do it. I'd say absolutely do it. I mean, I've probably got about 8 months worth myself.
3 things you need: food, water. Well, water first. Good, clean supply of
Yep.
water, food, and a way of defending yourself.
Yep.
Those 3 things are imperative.
Beans, boys, and
Everything
bags.
else is extra.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, Vanessa. I don't know why they would give you tests that you don't even need.
Yep. But yeah, the whole everything kind of seems as intertwined, and people are not learning from history. Um, especially like with this gun control bullcrap. We saw what happened in the 1930s and 1940s when Hitler did gun control, and how it led to the extermination of millions of people who were unarmed sheep because of what the government did. So uh, I don't give a damn. The Supreme Court orders us to ignore any unconstitutional law. Marbury versus Madison.
Yep.
Ignore the law. If they call for this registration and all this stuff, not doing it. Not going
Nope.
to happen. I'm not registering my guns, and the sign out front is going to be "Come and take them," because we're finally got we've got to draw the line in the sand. We cannot give up and give in to them. And if we go along with an unconstitutional law, we're just as culpable as the assholes that are making those unconstitutional laws.
Yep.
Civil disobedience. That's going to be the name of the game. Stand up and say, I'm an American. Because listen to me, you either die fighting for your country and your freedom, or you can die on your knees as their slave. Either way,
well,
you're dead.
Now here's an interesting one, though, because now that you said that, brought up remember the McCluskey incident, where those mostly peaceful protesters busted down the gate and started storming onto private property and threatening, families and homes and pets and everything. And, they came out on their lawn and stood their ground. Okay. Well, I just saw, that was maybe a month and a half ago. The guy, I don't remember his name, whatever McCluskey, Mr. McCluskey.
Mr. McCluskey.
He went ahead and he took the plea deal, which put it as a misdemeanor, and a lot of people thought he wussed out. But what a lot of people also don't understand is that he is running for Senate in 2022. And if he would have not taken that plea deal, that argument could have very well gone into 2022 and ruined his chances of becoming a state senator. Because now that the people see that he is for stand your ground, a lot of people are going to be more supporting him. Be like, well, yeah, if you got a group of violent rioters out front threatening you and your family and your home and your pets, I'd be out there with my AR-15 too. He didn't even have to fire it, but.
Oh, I'd have been making people run. I mean, right. But the thing is I can understand if he's in a kind of a state or whatever that's kind of anti-gun is one thing. Now,
Missouri, they're pro 2A.
Well, then I'd have told them, screw your deal. I want an immediate jury trial of my peers. I want an immediate jury trial by gun owners to be on the jury. I would have had my lawyer push the issue, because I'd have backed that DA all the way into a corner and said, no, we're going to go to a jury trial. There's video evidence of me standing there with my gun protecting my property. I never fired a shot. There's nothing to be charged about. There is nothing to be charged. I would have stood up to it. I don't give a damn, but I'd have told them I want me a speedy trial and I want it done within the next 90 days. I want a jury trial of my peers. I would have forced it to where they drop the charges or we're going to a jury, and a jury would have found him innocent of all charges.
Hopefully. Yeah, jury nullification, that would have been nice. But the DAs, a lot of these DAs are just so corrupt and so Democrat. I mean, it's like we were talking before we started the show about judges. All these judges are not nonpartisan like they're supposed to be. They're totally partisan.
Right.
At least a good majority. If you go to like the blue cities, they're picked by blue governors and freaking socialist fucking shitheads.
Right.
Pardon my French. Actually, don't pardon me at all. Fuck that. Fucking assholes.
No. Every judge that's partisan and rules because of a political way that they swing should not be on the bench, as far as I'm concerned. And I hope some of them see me tell them this, because that's not what a judge is supposed to do. A judge is supposed to be completely nonpartisan and go by the law and by the Constitution. You swore to uphold the Constitution. You're sworn in, as I was, in the Air Force, as a police officer, as a prison guard, all that. I swore the Constitution. And if you don't know what you're swearing to, you shouldn't be swearing to it. You need to go find you another job. But you need to approach it with impartiality. And if the Constitution says shall not be infringed, and it's funny, that's the only amendment that says shall not be infringed that they keep trying to infringe on.
Yeah, and there's no comma after that shall not be infringed. It's a period.
Right. Yeah. If I could travel back in a time machine, I would go back to when they were drafting the Constitution and walk in there and say, look, I'm from the future and here's what's happening. You need to make the wording a lot more specific than shall not be infringed. You need to put in there a death sentence to anyone who tries to create gun laws where that are anti-American. You need to put in there that you will be subject to death from any citizen who's denied the right to own a firearm or something like that, because shall not be infringed ain't working 245 years later when we got 20,000 anti-gun laws on the books.
Or like make what's that pre-statement before the Bill of Rights saying anybody that goes against these bills or these rights of the people to have their individual rights shall be subject to
death or deportation
or treason.
Death or deportation.
Yeah.
You get your choice. You get your choice. Death or deportation. Get the hell out of our country or face the firing squad or the rope. But that's the thing. I mean, we've let these politics intermingle with our revolving door justice system, and it's ruined the way our country should be, which was free. We should be free to do any damn thing we want to do as long as we're not out hurting our neighbor, hurting anybody else, killing anybody, exploiting anybody, robbing, stealing, whatever. We should be free to do what we want in this country. This was supposed to be the freest nation in the world. If it's so free, why do we have so many goddamn laws? It's not, and it's really a sad shame.
Well, a lot of people. And see, this is the disgusting thing, Moose, is a lot of people think that, these laws are going to protect people. And some of them do, but the vast majority of them only take away rights from individual liberties.
Right.
I mean, all these regulations that they pass on like small business owners and crap, like, you've got to have this, you've got to have that. It's like, hey, man, as long as you make sure that you don't have rat shit or rats crawling around or roaches crawling around, just keep your place clean. That's all we ask. And I mean, I've seen I think every state has that one news reporter that goes out and does the dirty dining report, and give them like 5 thumbs down or whatever. It's like, there's some places it's like, they get shut down because they're just so nasty. A lot of them are Mexican. No offense, but it's like I can understand certain regulations, but man, like when I worked at my last job shipping explosives, I mean, jumping through some of these hoops, it's like this one is totally unnecessary. And it's like, all right, you already covered it in the first part of your paperwork, but then you have to cover it again and again and in triplicate. And it's like, this is just getting redundant and stupid. But that's how our government is. They're redundant and stupid.
Yeah, and it's a shame that our society started progressing like they did and evolving into this, with better communications that we didn't have 100 years ago. And this knowledge available at our fingertips, and we've actually digressed into a stupider society because of it.
Yeah, if anybody's ever seen that movie Idiocracy, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And the other point I wanted to touch on tonight, we talked about, was this document that came out of Homeland Security about privately made firearms that was not supposed to be for the public view. And yet it's been discussed on other sites, and I just kind of wanted to briefly touch on it tonight. I'm going to bring the document up. And it's talking about the 80% receivers that you're able to buy on the internet and build your own weapon out of. Well, it starts out with first responder awareness of privately made firearms may prevent illicit activities. Criminals and violent extremists continue to seek ways to acquire firearms through the production of privately made firearms called PMFs. PMFs can easily be made using readily available instructions and commonly available tools, require no background check or firearms registration. Listen to this now, or firearms registration serial number under federal law, and their parts have become more accessible and affordable. This, combined with the increase in law enforcement recoveries of non-serialized and counterfeit firearms in criminal investigations, will most likely create increasing challenges in law enforcement investigations, including weapon accountability, access, and tracking. PMF awareness and identification can aid PMF recovery, prevention of illicit activities, including terrorism, and overall first responder and public safety. Now here's the caveat. They put a note on here. It says, note, many of the activities described herein may involve constitutionally protected activities and may be insignificant on their own. Action should not be taken solely based on the exercise of constitutionally protected rights. Now, there it is. Yeah. So to touch on that, I gleaned some information about where it says about registering and tracking firearms through serial number. Okay. Well, we know how they do it now. They go to the manufacturer that put the serial number on, then they see who they sold that to, and then they go to that dealer and see who that gun was sold to. If you sell that gun later on to somebody and you don't know who they are, they can no further track it, but they'll give you a ration of crap about it, basically. So, but the other thing is, it plainly says it's a constitutionally protected right for us to build our own firearms.
Yeah, have been since before the founding of our country. It was
right. Now they say in here that they confiscated more than 23,906 non-serialized firearms were reported recovered by law enforcement from 2016 to 2020. Again, we're way below that 0.1% of all firearms in the United States. However, what they failed to mention there is they didn't mention the stolen guns that were found that had the serial numbers ground off, as a lot of criminals do, which is, by the way, a federal offense. There's no law that says you have to serialize your firearm if you build it. However, as a gunsmith, I've always recommended that if you build your own firearm from an 80% receiver, put your own number on it, make your own number up. And the reason is, and it's perfectly legal to put your name on it, put your city and state, and make up your own firearm number. And it can be anything as KMA 0077, or BMJ 002, whatever it is. Put your own serial number on that gun. That does two things. If your gun ever gets stolen, you have a record of it. If that gun is recovered, you get your gun back. Number two is if law enforcement sees you at a range and asks to check your firearm out and run the serial number, number one, it's not going to come up as stolen unless it's been stolen from you and they catch it. But if it's your gun with your own serial number and they run it it's not going to come up on any stolen record, and it's going to be perfectly legit, and it's going to get the focus of a non-serialized gun off of you because your gun has its own serial number. There's no law against it because actual federal law says the maker of the gun, which is a firearms manufacturer, is the one that's supposed to serial number guns. I've had discussions with Class 7 manufacturers that say when the ATF regulations now that they're trying to pass says that you got to take them to a gunsmith and have them serial number them and record them, that actually violates the law because that gunsmith or that guy did not make that firearm. A private citizen did. So they're actually wanting you to do something that's not actually legal, all under the guise of getting that gun on paper.
Yeah, registry.
Right, it's a registry. But it would make that guy that put his license number and serial number on that firearm liable, so that if that firearm then caused harm to somebody, blew up, whatever, then that firearms dealer or gunsmith could come back and be sued actually when they didn't even build the gun. So we're trying to explain to people that, don't do it. I mean, we got to fight this because ATF is out of control on this deal. So if you build your own gun, put your own serial number on it, it's perfectly legal because you made that gun. And it's basically, like I said, to keep it that if it gets stolen, it's trackable by a serial number, and you can hide it inside. If you don't want it visible on the outside, you can do it inside the magwell or down inside the receiver or somewhere. You can do it with an electrograver and do it fairly deep where it can't be gotten to be cut out or something, and make up your own serial number. You can use initials. You can use, FUJ or KMA, whatever, or just any kind of prefix and serial number for any number you want, and then you're legal, and it takes the eyes off of it.
Yep, I'm not going to argue that fact. I think it's.
Yeah, there are a few states that have outlawed the 80% receivers now. I think Nevada is one of the first ones. I'm not sure if California and New York have. I mean, the liberal bastions out there of anti-gunners. But what they do point out in this article is it's important to note that by themselves, some of the following indicators are lawful and constitutionally protected, and taken alone would not warrant law enforcement action or additional investigation. In other words, if you are a law-abiding citizen and you're not out shooting people, you build your own firearm, which I've built, I don't know how many, to be honest with you, my own guns, from bolt-action rifles to AR-15s to semi-automatic handguns, and my own design weapons that I did myself. If you're not out breaking the law, there's no reason for them to look at you and to try to overrule your constitutionally protected right, because we've been making firearms in this country since we got here, since the 1700s, when they started setting up forges and machine shops that were, back then they were all water powered with water wheels and stuff. And then guns were built by hand. And we've progressed as a society now to lathes and milling machines and stuff. But in the same token, don't be breaking the law. If you're making guns for yourself, you don't make them to put on the market and sell, because then you are violating the law if you're manufacturing guns without a license for profit. So don't do it. I mean, it's just simple. If you want to build yourself a gun to shoot, that's fine. Now, if you shoot it for a while, 6 months or a year, and you don't like it, you actually can sell that gun. At the same time, I would suggest it have some type of a serial number on it, so that you could record it that you sold that gun and who you sold it to. That way it covers you uh, in any kind of legal or law enforcement investigation.
Well, I don't know if it
Well,
would nowadays, though. I mean, now they'd be like, well, why didn't you go through the NICS background check?
well, until they do a universal background check, which I'm highly against in the United States because that's just another form of gun registry and it's stopping private sales between individuals. But the fact of the matter is, if you've got an 80%, you turn it into a 100% working gun, you put your own serial number on it, it's not registered anywhere except in your home where it should be. So there is no record out there for anybody else. So keep that in mind.
No, Latin patriot, that's not what he meant. But the government out there is totally anti-gun. The people are not. We understand that, dude. And I think, I think Putin, when he looks at America right now, he's like, you guys got some really weak ass leadership. But does he underestimate the citizens out here or the soldiers out here? No, he doesn't. You know, this potato.
Yeah, you've got Cuomo in New York. That Bioxo knows about Cuomo in New York and their Safe Gun Act, the same as Aaron with A.B. Lawns and that are, man, Aaron's a licensed federal gun dealer, yet he has trouble getting people to ship to him in New York because of the rules and regulation. Even though he's federally licensed, companies won't ship a lot of stuff to him. And it's perfectly legal because he's a federally licensed firearm dealer in the state of New York. But you've got Delaware that's totally anti-assault weapon, which is assault weapon. Don't even get me started because there's no such thing. Assault is what one human does to another. A gun can't assault anybody. But you've got what is it? Towns like Boston and that state. You've got pro-gun states like Maine right above them, but you got Massachusetts, you've got New York, Maryland, you've got California. Oregon's got a lot of guns, but they're doing some stupid crap. Washington State, you can't even own any machine gun parts there, which is silly because if it's not a machine gun, it's just a part. It's against the law there to own that. So, not all states have the freedom that other states have. So to me, it makes the people like in California, the gun owners, second-class citizens. We're here in Oklahoma, we're constitutional carry and we're gun sanctuary state. And because I may own a few undocumented firearms, it's nobody's business.
Yeah, citizen soldier. That's true. And actually, that red flag law, and that's another one we could go into detail with. But we are coming up on about an hour and a half, and I still have another stream to do later. I'm gonna stream I'll probably start about 9 o'clock, and then at midnight I'm gonna pull everybody backstage, and I'm gonna watch Independence Day.
The one about the aliens?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I already watched The Patriot. I watched The Patriot yesterday. That's a good one. But that's
is there a movie about us kicking the British's ass out of here in the 1700s?
Yeah. The Patriot.
The Patriot? Okay. I don't watch a lot of movies, and I try to watch them on. I don't have the bandwidth to watch movies on this slow-ass internet. And they're supposed to be getting us faster internet in Oklahoma, but it hasn't come down yet, even though the government kind of dictated that we get faster internet. They just haven't done it yet. So it's hard for me to watch movies. It stops, and then it goes, and it stops, and it goes, and it's like trying to watch a Japanese movie where Godzilla's over here, and they talk like this. It don't work.
Sin against the law or constitution. Folks wow, I don't know.
Chipman must be stopped at all costs. We don't need that baby killing,
no doubt,
firearm losing son of a bitch to run our ATF.
ATF
in bad enough shape as it is.
Fucking lying piece of shit.
Lying. Most uneducated ATF officer I've ever seen, besides
he looks
a
like
few I've met in person.
If you ever going back and watch some of the fucking hearings where he was up there, man, he looks like a damn weasel. The way he's always got that fucking upper bite.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, hey, Ron, I want to again thank you for letting me kind of be on the show with you to discuss 2A issues on a Saturday here on the 3rd of July. It's been my pleasure to join you and have our gang of fellow citizen, patriots, comrades, whatever you want to be known as out there.
Not comrades.
Join in.
Patriots.
Yeah, we're comrades. We're comrades. Yes, we are.
Okay, maybe all right. And if I'm drinking vodka, if I'll tell you what, next time we get together and we're drinking vodka, I'll call you my comrade.
We have camaraderie among us, so it's just because it's used by the Russians doesn't mean anything. It's also used by us people that enjoy everybody. But thanks again for letting me be on here, and thanks everybody for tuning in and listening to us rant back and forth and throwing in your comments and chat. We really do appreciate it, and I love all you guys. And like I always say, keep your powder dry and keep your faith in God strong.
I'll concur with that message. Nicole, everybody, I know a lot of you probably already follow me at the Dangerous Freedom After Dark. And like I said, yeah, probably about an hour and a half. I still got to finish eating my dinner, and then I'll be over there. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. Moose Man, you take care. Be in touch. I know you will be. And y'all have a good night.